I love pop girls, you love pop girls. We all love pop girls. But what special magic do they have that allows them to live in our head rent-free? In my opinion, there are a variety of skills that allow these people to do what they do and to leave the cultural impact that they have. Today, I will be breaking down the 4 skill categories that every single pop star can fall into. These skill categories are used as a branding tool to help differentiate the artist. The 4 skill categories are the singer, the performer, the lyricist, and the world builder / aesthetic curator. While many of these artists are capable of having multiple skills, they usually heavily excel in 1 to 2 of them, with those special set of skills defining their legacy. Today, I'm going to be breaking down these 4 skill categories, which artists belong in which, and how these 4 skill categories affect the way we perceive and consume art. Let's define each skill so that we can better understand how I sort my pop girls. Now, this is how I define what a writer, performer, and lyricist look like. Your definition could be completely different. Number 1 is the writer. The writer is a pop girl known for their profound lyricism. While many artists write about the human condition, the best writers are the ones who are able to communicate their message in a unique and specific way. They have the ability to take universal feelings like love, anger, or grief, and communicate them through a special lens, allowing the audience to experience those feelings in a way that they never knew possible. Writers can do this through multiple common techniques. A classic one is showing, not telling, where the artist utilizes unique imagery to convey the point that they are trying to make instead of blatantly telling the audience what is going on. For example, basic writing would say, I have a crush on him. More experienced writers would say, my cheeks flushed red as he looked me in my eyes. The same point is being made here, but showing makes the lyrical experience more immersive. In addition, metaphors and sensory language are other examples of other techniques that good lyricists and writers use. As for artists that fall in this category, the most obvious ones that come to mind are Lana Del Rey, Taylor Swift, Lorde, Olivia Rodrigo, and Gracie Abrams. Just kidding, not her. Gracie Abrams is clearly trying to position herself as a lyricist, but I don't think she's there yet. Keep trying, girl. Many of the artists above employ some, if not all, of the writing techniques I stated above to some level of proficiency. Categories of performer, defined by their ability to, well, perform. Amazing performers are typically characterized by their consistently high energy on stage, exceptional dancing ability, and their charisma and confidence. They have the ability to command a space and to dominate with their presence. Performers typically utilize their body and their face to communicate with their audience. When budget permits, a gorgeous set design and beautiful outfits tend to be present to further enhance the quality of the show. Great performers typically operate best in live shows or in video mediums where they can visually showcase their physicality. Popular pop stars known for their performances are Tate McRae, Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and surprisingly, J-Lo. Even though on stage, J-Lo sounds like a dying goat and is somewhat of a nasty personality, you cannot deny that she can, well, move. Now, you might be thinking that I am missing out on some more modern contemporary artists, but I'll follow up on that later. The next is the vocalist. Similar to the other skills, the vocalist is defined by someone who can sing, honey. They have an incredible voice and can employ a variety of difficult vocal techniques. Many critics in the industry state that vocalists typically have the following skills: the ability to sing in multiple octaves, typically 3 to 4, and the ability to do a variety of vocal effects like transitioning seamlessly from your chest voice to your head voice, resonance, pitch, vibrato, belting, runs, riffs, and diction. As you can probably tell, many artists can fit into this category, the most notable ones being Beyonce, Ariana Grande, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and Charli XCX. Just kidding, absolutely not Charli. Could you imagine? The last category is the world builder / aesthetic curator. The world builder is someone who is able to create a unique visual and sonic world with their music. They treat each album cycle like a cinematic world with a different color palette, atmosphere, and sound. Everything from the music videos to their album art to even how they conduct themselves in real life is an essential part of the story that they want to tell. They are often referential, pulling from various different aesthetics and repackaging them into something unique for the audience. They typically have a very distinct taste and point of view that sets them apart from many other people. Charli XCX, Addison Rae, Chappell Roan, SZA, and many more fall into this category. If you listen to SZA's Control or Charli XCX's Brat or Addison Rae's Debut, you cannot deny that they have a very distinct sound and vibe that is in a league of their own. Many people think that aesthetic curation isn't important, but it is. Anyone can make an album. However, can you make one that stands out from an already extremely competitive musical landscape? The most memorable albums bring in a unique sound and are sonically cohesive throughout and have memorable visuals. vocals. It is extremely difficult to do that and requires a certain level of taste and skill to pull off. Let's dive more into the nuances of the categories. Many of the artists that I stated above are typically well known for the skill that they excel at the most. Everyone knows that JLo is capable of shaking, twerking, and dipping on that stage, but her vocals are, they leave more to be desired. In a similar vein, Lana Del Rey is known for her stunning lyricism, her use of imagery to help build out a sonic landscape, her use of cultural references, her vulnerability and deep explorations of love and culture are what the audience deeply connects with. However, her performance abilities tend to be lackluster. This is not to say that she's a bad performer. However, some of her performances can be a little lazy, and she often makes confusing creative decisions when planning her live shows. Using a hologram of yourself or refusing to put beloved songs from your fans onto your set lists can be a little off-putting. With that being said, she has made the concerted effort to not brand herself as a performer. She isn't going to do Tate McRae level choreography anytime soon. To reiterate, most pop girls usually excel in 1 to 2 of the 4 categories. Now, can an artist be a part of multiple categories? Yes, obviously. A classic example of a high-performing celebrity who has mastery in multiple skill categories, except writing, is Beyoncé. She's an exceptional vocalist with a 4-octave range, powerful belts, and just overall amazing vocal technique. She's an excellent performer with a strong stage presence and great dancing ability. If you haven't seen her Beychella performance or any of the Renaissance Tour performances, go do your homework. Her stage presence is exceptional, and each show is meticulously thought out, both from a visual and dancing perspective. She's also a fabulous aesthetic curator, creating new vibes and visuals for each of her albums. Self-titled, created in 2013, avoided polish and transitioned towards darker, chaotic shots. On the other hand, Renaissance was visually defined through a combination of disco futurism and ballroom culture. The use of robotic imagery, holographic materials, and sparkling metals contribute to that vibe. For every single album cycle, she genuinely gives it her all every single time. Another example is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is a fabulous lyricist, probably the best of our generation, known for her diaristic and emotionally precise musings on love. She's also somewhat good at visually evolving with her music. Every album has its own unique vibe and sound that help contribute to the world that she's trying to make. Let's take Folklore and Reputation as an example. 2 different visuals, 2 different sounds, and 2 different eras. Like Beyoncé, Taylor evolves over time. For her performing and dancing abilities, all I have to say is, go white girl go. Just kidding. We can't deny that she bodied and slayed at the Eras Tour. Name another artist who can tour for almost 2 years in a row, around the world, 3 shows a week, 3 hours each, with each show being meticulously thought out and planned. I don't think you can name any. Her voice is extremely pleasant to listen to, and she does have good vocal technique. If we are evaluating her on voice alone, however, let's be real, she's no Whitney Houston, but that does not matter. She's slaying regardless. So should you excel at every single skill category? Well, it's impossible to excel in all of them, but you should at least be proficient to some extent in all of them. It is vital that every artist is proficient in all categories to some extent. If you completely excel in 1 to 2 skills but flop on the rest, it's gonna show and have repercussions in your career. For example, you can have a great voice and performance ability, but if you use your vocal talents on songs with cringy lyrics, the universe will clown on you, honey. An example of this is the song Internet Girl by Cat's Eye, a waste of a song for such a talented group of girls due to the nonsensical lyricism.
I'm getting out of here.
Eat zucchini, eat zucchini. How can anyone take you seriously if you say such things? If Cat's Eye continues down this path, they are going to fade into irrelevancy eventually. On a similar vein, if you don't have somewhat of a curatorial eye for unique sounds and aesthetics, it will be impossible to distinguish yourself from a very saturated musical landscape. You could have the voice of a century with a 7-octave range, but if you don't really offer anything different, you're gonna fade eventually. Take Madison Beer, for example. She has a gorgeous voice, however, we don't really know what makes Madison Beer. She does not have a unique sound that makes her so much more interesting than, let's say, a Chappell Roan. This stresses the importance of aesthetics and having a unique point of view in your music. Many artists need to be comfortable in front of a stage as well. Artists barely make any money from streaming numbers alone. A majority of their profits actually come from touring, and you can't tour if your performance abilities suck. And if you continuously tour with horrible performances, less and less people are going to come, and your reputation will be gutted. And if nobody is coming to your tour,
you're not gonna make any money.
So yes, all artists need to be somewhat of a vocalist, performer, curator, and lyricist. Not everyone can be a Lady Gaga or Beyonce who excels flawlessly in all of the categories. However, you cannot deny that you need to be at least somewhat proficient in everything in order to be successful as an artist. With that being said, there are many benefits to being branded by the skill you excel most at. What are these benefits? Well, the first is meaningful differentiation. Being branded by the skill category that you excel in can help differentiate you in an already extremely saturated musical landscape. It helps prevent choice overload. Skill categories can allow the audience to know what to expect, as they will keep coming back to you based on what they're familiar with. If Taylor Swift says she's releasing an album, chances are you might already perceive it to be lyrically profound and full of exciting tea about her personal and romantic life. If Beyonce announces a concert, chances are you are going to expect some amazing choreography and an amazing show. You don't need these artists to prove their skill level to you. It is simply something that you now expect when you hear their name. When BB Rexa announces something, she hasn't really branded herself as a singer or performer, so you yield no expectations. In fact, who is BB Rexa? We have no clue and we don't care. You don't stan BB Rexa because she has no brand. In addition, being known for the skill that you're good at can help give artists meaning. Being branded by your skill category can also give you a sense of meaning in your work. If you are known for what you love doing, that incentivizes you to keep going in that direction. This is also known as intrinsic motivation, where you pursue a course of action out of passion and personal satisfaction instead of external rewards like money or fame. There are many artists that have revealed what drives them most. Taylor Swift says that writing songs is a flotation device. I write songs that are like diary entries. I have to do it in order to feel sane. I've never thought about songwriting as a weapon. I've only thought about it as a way to help me get through love and loss and sadness and loneliness. Writing is her passion, and people love her for her writing. When people love what you are good at and best at doing, it further motivates you to keep going. It's like a match made in heaven, because the skill that you love most is now the skill that your audience loves most as well. Taylor Swift been prevented from writing her own songs, chances are she wouldn't be doing music in the first place. I could only imagine the mental anguish she would go through if she had no creative input on the songs she would have to sing. Taylor would simply be another Madison Beer. Another artist that has revealed how she creates is Addison Rae. Addison Rae has consistently referenced her love for visual curation in many of her interviews. I'm a very visual person, so everything was mapped out. Colors, themes, how I wanted to translate them into a project. I made a binder. I printed out photos and colors and words. Before the album had any sonic world, it was just purely visions, visuals, and words. Her high femme 2000s inspired nostalgia persona resonated deeply with many. In addition, she used her unique visuals to create a unique sonic landscape that's referential but new at the same time. Now that Addison Rae has established herself as a world builder, the audience can come to expect a unique sonic and visual world for her upcoming albums. Had Addison been pressured by her label to pursue an image/aesthetic manufactured by a record label, I highly doubt that her debut record would have been as great as it was. In fact, a manufactured image would probably have led to Addison making an album similar to her EP, AR, a somewhat cunty yet extremely generic sounding record. I am so glad that she took more creative control for her most recent project. Now, it is important that these artists keep creating and expressing themselves the way that they want to in order for us audiences to receive amazing art that is authentically theirs. I am sure that you would be happy if you were branded as a skill that you love doing. Now, specialization in a certain skill category can be very risky. If something renders you incapable of doing the thing that you are good at, it can result in negative impacts on both your physical health, mental health, and career. For example, as a singer, damage to your vocal cords can limit your vocal capacity and halt your musical output. If you're a performer, physical strains can effectively destroy your ability to move in certain ways, limiting your capabilities on the stage, thus negatively impacting your career and how you make money. In addition, the thought alone of losing the one attribute that A, makes you unique and stand out, and B, makes you money is incredibly daunting, and many artists have expressed their insecurities regarding losing the artistic skill that they are most passionate about. In her documentary 5'2", Gaga reveals that she has fibromyalgia, which can manifest itself into severe physical pain throughout the body. In her documentary, Gaga experienced intense muscle spasms trailing from her legs to her face. At this moment, Gaga struggles with the fact that her chronic pain might result in her being unable to perform. Quote, "Do I look pathetic? I'm so embarrassed. I don't even know what childbirth will be like. I can't elevate it to a point where I become Lady Gaga again. The concept of looking pathetic and small to others was a threat to her identity as a performer. Her stress surrounding this topic is indicative of how much performance means to her. The thought of losing the ability to do what she is passionate about, which is performing, is very stressful to Gaga. Taylor Swift also suffers from similar insecurities. In an interview with BBC Radio 1, Taylor Swift admits to thinking that her creativity was dependent on her torment and pain in relationships, and that stability was a threat to her songwriting. The idea of her songwriting being lackluster is frightening for Taylor Swift, especially given the fact that she has been branded as an amazing songwriter from the industry and through her own doing with interviews and press cycles. Losing what you love about yourself and what the audience loves about you can be incredibly scary and is a major drawback from heavily branding yourself as a master in a certain pop girl skill. Now let's talk about the demand for each skill. Now, are all 4 skills treated equally in the world right now? In my opinion, no, they aren't. As time goes on, consumer tastes change, eventually resulting in the culture demanding one skill over the other. For example, in the 90s, there was a strong demand for talented female vocalists with strong voices capable of executing complicated vocal techniques. The pop divas Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, and Whitney Houston filled this need and dominated the Billboard charts in the 90s. Their technical skill, alongside their ability to dive into the emotions that they were singing about, were what helped contribute to their success. The compliments that many artists received from both critics and the general public revolved around their powerful voice. A Billboard article stated that even though many critics thought that Mariah Carey did not have unique music, her vocal technique was undeniable. Clive Davis, a well-respected A&R executive, called Whitney Houston one of the best voices in the generation. Whitney Houston was also nicknamed The Voice due to her 5-octave range and vocal technique. Based on how the culture talked about these stars back then, and in retrospect, it was extremely clear that their voices alone really helped solidify them as musical legends. Now don't get me wrong, yes they could perform and yes they had amazing stage presence. However, they weren't exactly doing backflips or wearing extravagant costumes. When Mariah Carey and Celine are performing, they typically just stand in one place and start hooting and hollering into the mic. That was enough for the crowd to fall in love with them. Standing on a stage and singing was enough to capture the attention of Earth's citizens. Now I don't make this point to negate the other skills. There are plenty of artists in the 90s whose strengths lied in performance and curation instead of vocal talent. Think of Madonna and Janet Jackson. However, people were giving more weight towards the pop divas who are more vocally inclined. Forward to 2025, I actually think that the demand for strong vocalists has been put on the back burner. Now Gen Z values vulnerability, authenticity and lyricism, and aesthetic and sonic curation, with many studies to prove this. According to research by Amy Shelton and Cooper Hughes in the Athens Journal, authenticity is a cornerstone of success for influencers and celebrities. Because Gen Z audience members tend to evaluate public figures through the dual lens of personal narrative and professional achievement, celebrities who seamlessly integrate their personalities into their creative work often achieve higher visibility and more enduring recognition. Fusing your personality with your lived-in experience in your lyrics is a key driver of success because Generation Z prioritizes the real state of a person over a fake and artificial image. Authenticity can be communicated through what you post on social media, how you conduct yourself, and your musical output. Your digital presence helps build the authenticity and trust that modern audiences value. In music, artists often engage in this by sharing personal details and their personality in the lyrics of their songs. By sharing their personal experiences with detail, they create a deep emotional connection and strengthen the parasocial relationship that they have with their audience. Now, sharing personal experiences alone does not make or break a pop girl. You don't have to go into precise detail about your ex-lovers in order to be successful. However, if you aren't going to divulge personal details, your music and your lyricism has to contain personality. Sabrina Carpenter does this perfectly by combining tongue-in-cheek humor, sarcasm, and a dramatic diva flair into her songs. Beyoncé, on the contrary, is more blunt and straight to the point. Regardless of how much personal life is in their writing, their personality comes through. Now, aside from lyricism, world building and visuals are more important now than ever before. A study done by Vivo showcased that 83% believe that music videos play an important role in pop culture. It adds an additional storytelling and world building element that allows music to be a more immersive experience. If the visuals are something that they connect with, it further builds that parasocial relationship. A unique sonic direction for the album can also help differentiate you from a saturated market. If your music sounds unique and stands out, that can help contribute to your popularity and legacy. Authentic lyrics and world building can help you create your own narrative that hopefully others are touched by. There are 2 case studies that we can look at in order to prove the importance of authentic lyricism and world building / aesthetics. Charlie XCX's Brat and Chappell Roan's album The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. Brat was an incredible commercial and critical success success in 2024. Many critics admired the sonic cohesion of the work and its raw authenticity. Pitchfork, a critical music review magazine, commends Charlie's vulnerable lyricism and her explorations on female relationship dynamics, insecurities within the entertainment industry, and experience as a 365 British snow-snorting party girl of the century. The general audience also appreciated Charlie touching upon subjects that many other celebrities would normally avoid. Now, lest we forget, Brat was also a visual sensation. The Brat design was also a cultural phenomenon, with the lime green being a symbol for volatility and mess. A direct departure from the clean girl craze that all of these LA influencers wanted to shove down everyone's throats. This is an example of both the music and the aesthetic working together to create this iconic moment in pop culture history. In addition, it is an incredibly cohesive album. It's not like Charlie compiled a bunch of random songs and threw them on the album. Charlie had a very clear vision of what she wanted the album to convey sonically and executed it flawlessly. No song sounds severely out of place or haphazardly completed. To reiterate, it was pure authenticity in the lyricism and the world building and aesthetics that resulted in its popularity. Now let's talk about Charli XCX's voice. Can Charli XCX sing? Well, no! If you've ever heard her live without autotune, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. Miss Girl can barely hit a note. I mean, Charli XCX heavily autotunes all of her performances for a reason. A, for the unique effect that it has on her voice, and B, because she needs the autotune, girl. If Charli released Brat in the 90s when Mariah, Whitney, and Celine were dominating, I am sure that the citizens of the earth would have collectively clowned on the album. This proves that in 2025, the vocal archetype does not necessarily dictate success anymore. Authentic lyricism and a unique creative sound is important as well. A case study that showcases the shift towards aesthetic curation and vulnerable lyricism is Chappell Roan. Unlike Charli XCX, who probes at insecurities within the music industry and partying with her lyricism, Chappell's lyrics chronicle her experience as a queer woman navigating the world. An article by Shay Richardson sums up why everyone loves Chappell perfectly. Roan is able to use her lyrics to turn the complexities of queer identity into something understandable, integrating themes of love and self-acceptance which allows even non-LGBTQ members to relate. She infuses her personality and personal life together to create lyrics that many can scream and relate to. Good Luck Babe, a song about being with someone that can't accept the fact that they're gay, hits a little too close to home, and I hate that for me, but that's what makes it iconic at the same time. Now lest we forget about the iconic Chappell Roan aesthetic. Many people love and praise Chappell's visual identity, a combination of high camp drag and historic medieval artistry. Her white face paint and giant hair paired with intricately designed corsets and dresses help create this maximalist, extravagant, borderline clownish, LGBTQ-inspired aesthetic that is uniquely Chappell Roan's. This visual identity is what makes Chappell, Chappell. Now, Charli and Chappell are just two examples of where strong aesthetic curation and true authenticity resulted in their success. However, these two skills can also be applied to other artists who found major success during the 2024 Pop Girl Summit. Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter had a flirty visual aesthetic with lyrics that contained Sabrina's tongue-in-cheek humor. The Tortured Poets department had a much darker tortured visual identity, with Taylor Swift rambling on about another failed relationship. What's new? But this album was extremely interesting because she went into way more detail. We love a major tea spill about a major heartbreak. Let's not deny the audience loves when Taylor spills the tea on every single failed relationship that she has, and she has many. Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter are no Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, but they play into the consumer's desire for lyrical authenticity and aesthetic curation. Now that we've talked about what skills are in demand now, let's talk about what skills might be in demand in the future. I personally believe that world building and authenticity will continue to be in demand in 2026 moving forward, and that's mainly due to social media. Social media creates silos, with each individual having a unique feed tailored to their own interests. As a result of this, subcultures form. Various groups of people with similar demographics collude together and talk about a common subject. I think that the same can be said for music. There will definitely be different musical subcultures that will niche down in the future. The music played on the For You page of a 21-year-old gay college Canadian is probably going to be different from the music played on a 50-year-old straight dad scrolling on Facebook. As algorithms get more accurate, I am sure that the music on our For You page will become more hyper-specific and niche to what our ears want to hear. But what do I know? The world is forever changing, and it's hard to predict what is next for the music industry. To recap, vocal ability, performance, lyricism, and world building are the various skills that pop musicians have/need in order to succeed. Again, as stated before, their legacy is often determined by how proficient they are in in 1 to 2 of these skills. I hope that you guys enjoyed this discussion on how these various pop skills affect both consumers and artists alike. What did you think of this? Am I missing any other important skills? Is there anything else that I need to think about when discussing the various skill categories? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching.